Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new series here on my YouTube channel. It seems like, we haven't had a really new type of series on my channel here in a while. So, yeah, here we go. Yes, this is called Ronnie's News. It's basically what it's going to be all about. It's just news over the last week or so, mainly sports, but, I might include some pop culture type stuff in there too. We'll see. Yeah, well, at least for tonight's episode, it's all going to be sports stuff, not like there won't be any pop culture moments or anything like that we will include in here, at least for tonight. There might be something big that happens next week, and obviously we'll report on it. And then sometimes, if the weather is kind of crazy, then we'll kind of do that. I don't know if you remember, about a couple years ago we did a show. It was kind of based on a project we did in science class. It was a news report for the weather, but you can include other news moments, create your news stuff, but mainly the main focus was on the weather and stuff like that. So I thought, that would be an interesting thing to turn into a series. It was originally going to be 10 episodes long with the two pilots. That'd be season 1. So that was going to be 12 episodes. However, it took a lot of time to film, and it took a while to come up with new stories, without getting a bit redundant. So yeah, I just decided that we're just gonna make the first two pilots episode 1 and 2, and then the 3 episodes I've already filmed as episode 3, 4, and 5. I was gonna do them every Sunday and alternate between the morning and the evening type of thing, but I realized that wasn't gonna work because it took up way more of my time than what I thought it was, writing and filming and editing. It overtook some of my other work and projects and stuff I had planned. So yeah, that's why I'm not doing it. But at least with this, throughout the week, I gather news headlines and news stuff that I want to talk about, and then we'll most likely film it Friday nights. In the odd occasion, we'll do it Saturday afternoon, which is what we're doing it right now. It's Saturday afternoon. In fact, it is 2:47 p.m. local time here in Sioux City, Iowa, and of course, this video will release in about 3 hours from now. So I better right before we do Gigantic Saturday, which is coming up next, by the way, too. So yeah, we'll start off with our first little bit of sports news. NHL broadcaster Eddie Olczyk criticized Leah Hextall for using popular announcer's catchphrase. She used Seattle Kraken's play-by-play announcer, and also for TNT too. John Forsland's "Hey, what do you say?" Now, as you know, John Forsland, he's more famous for calling Carolina games for the Hurricanes for so many years. Just moved over to Seattle right at the beginning of the season, or of last season, I should say. Kind of took an off year for the Hurricanes, and then worked more on it on NBC in the final year, and then transferred over here to Seattle and did really a couple games of the playoffs last year for TNT and TBS. But now he's kind of been in the regular lineup of play-by-play announcers and does a lot more regular season type stuff too as well. So yeah, Eddie Olczyk, since he is the color commentator for Seattle, he stood up for Leah Hextall, probably one of the only few major, maybe hockey people, I should say, hockey announcers, because, as you know, Leah Hextall, she's been getting hate for her play-by-play and how I am within that majority. I honestly really don't like her doing play-by-play, but I will give her credit, though. I think she does a better job than I do. But obviously that's just because, she has more experience and she's older than me. So, yeah. Although I have been doing play-by-play now for 7 years, so I should know everything, or a lot of stuff by now, but obviously. So, yeah. And just in general, yeah, she used, well, back to John Forsland's catchphrase, hey, what do you say? That's what she used. However, though, I will cut her some slack because on this one, because hey, what do you say? That's, to be honest with you all, and I might get a little bit of hate for this, it's technically not really his catchphrase. Although it is like his thing that he says, which, completely fine, but it's not his, so to say. He didn't create it or anything like that. It's just a common hockey phrase. I mean, you hear it every time the Muskies score a goal. Hey, what do you say? Well, no, I shouldn't say after they score a goal, after they play Monet. Hey, what do you say? Let's go Muskies. And not just the Muskies do it, other teams in the league do it too as well. And I think some even do it outside of hockey too. So, yeah, so technically it's not really his phrase, but it is his at the same time. That's what he's known for. And Leah used it in the third period, I noticed too. And, usually when John Forsland's calling it, he usually does it, if the Hurricanes tie it up late in the third or, obviously score an OT winning goal. And I'm sure he does this for Seattle too. So I will cut her some slack just based off those 2 points. But in general, in terms of her play-by-play announcing skills, I am not really a fan of it. I know she does also reporting too. I think she should stick to that instead of doing the play-by-play. But she does do it for like women's hockey and stuff like that. I've read her background, so yeah, maybe. I mean, I will give her credit though. I mean, she is one of few in her field. In professional men's sporting, like sports, I will give her credit for that. At least she's like a trailblazer, so to say. Um, and I don't mean to be sexist or anything like that, but I just don't think she's great for play-by-play. I think she should stick to her reporter duties with the network, so with ESPN. So yeah, that's my opinion on in general. Man, the Pittsburgh. This has just been a weird play. This has just been a weird year for teams missing the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Penguins missed the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. Yes, that's just crazy, 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 crazy. In that stretch, they've had 4 Stanley Cup Finals appearances, 3 Cup wins, and 4 division champions. And now they've missed the playoffs. It's kind of weird to think about, not gonna lie. I mean, the Penguins have basically been in the playoffs my whole life, which is crazy to think about. It's just weird. In my whole life, this is the first time in my life the Penguins have missed the playoffs. That's just strange to me. And also this year, no Washington, no St. Louis, and no Pittsburgh. Probably the 3 most dominant teams when it comes to playoff experience. Well, they've been in it the most, I should say. Well, at least it seems like over these past 10 years. But yeah, that just seems weird to me. And back to the Washington thing, I think I heard somewhere it was the first time they've missed since the 07-08 season, I believe. So, yeah, that active streak of them going to the playoffs, that's just going to come to an end. So now we have Pittsburgh. Or, no, excuse me. I meant to say Seattle. And we've got Florida in it. We've got Vegas is back in it. LA's back in it. Edmonton's back in it. I mean, it's good that we get to see these teams during the playoffs, which I like that. But there's no Washington or St. Louis or Pittsburgh, those dominant teams that always make the playoffs. That just seems strange. But yeah, it's going to be a fun and interesting one. And by the way, all the news just won't be hockey related. We'll have other incidents that happen too. In fact, Sunday afternoon, if you watched the Minnesota Timberwolves game, you saw that altercation. Rudy Gobert got suspended for the play-in game on that. But yeah, he was suspended for that play-in game against Los Angeles, which of course they won. Obviously, they had that was following an altercation they had with Kyle Anderson during the game against New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, this hit national news too. This is how big the story was. I think if sports, unless it's a championship or playoff type thing, if it's just incidents like this in the regular season and they make national news, that's pretty big, to say the least. At least I think. And to add insult to injury, literally, forward Jason McDaniels fractured his hand after punching a wall. So, God, that was just. I mean, I didn't watch it live when it happened because the Lakers game was on. I was at my cousin's house, and he's like a huge Lakers fan, so I watched that. And kind of after the incident happened, they were talking about it. It was just crazy, to say the least. All right, this is just going to be an update on what we're going to do for the playoffs because I have changed the formula a couple times on how I'm going to do it. But yeah, I think this is the one that will work out for me the best in terms of, school getting put into the mix and, other stuff that's going on or that will be coming up here. That's what I should say in terms of life and stuff like that. So yeah, this is for the NHL and NBA. Now, we're only going to broadcast here elimination games or games of a series that could end that night. That's the only thing we're going to broadcast. So those would be your game 5s, your game 6s, and your game 7s. Those will pretty much be the only games we call. Unless, of course, it's a Friday night kind of thing or it's a Saturday night kind of thing. Basically, game 5s, 6s, and 7s that are elimination games will broadcast. Well, even game 4s, even too. That in the rare case, of a sweep, obviously. And then the regular Friday night and Saturday night games too. So tonight, the Warriors will be at Sacramento. We'll have that game on along with the Muskies at Waterloo. So yeah, we'll have that game. And then this is for watch parties too, because the watch parties will be back since the Muskies clinched the playoffs. Oh, I guess I kind of already spoiled that, but hey. I should have said, if they make the playoffs, which, that's pretty much already out the window now. But here's how they will work. It's a new format, once again, for those. It'll pretty much be the same format we do for the regular away games, that you see downstairs in the studio. I mean, you'll hear the main broadcast, and then you'll hear everybody's reaction in the Peas Pizza. We were going to try to be back in the party room because that was just awesome. That was just great, that it was just fun for me and I think for everyone that was there, obviously. The intermission recaps will work a little bit differently on how we do it because usually after the intermission ends we sort of preview it and then go to a commercial. We're not going to do it like that. We're just, after the period's over, I'm going to pick up the headset, put it back on me, talk a little bit, and then we'll review the period in question, and then of course we'll do some scores and all that good stuff. God, I got 10 hours of sleep last night and I'm still tired, obviously. But hey. Anyway, the intermission report, yeah, well, it'll have the scores, and then we're also going to do something new. I'm going to do like a pre-film news segment on like before we go for, well, 2 obviously, or I thought about doing the same one twice, but just in case, it goes to overtime and God forbid double overtime, we're just going to not do that, obviously. So yeah, that segment will probably last anywhere between 7 and 9 minutes. That's so that, because last year when we were at Peas Pizza for the playoffs, in the party room, there's actually a door that leads out to kind of like the back of the place, and our friends would always go out there and hang out, get fresh air and stuff like that. So yeah, that's also why I'm not doing it, obviously, like that. So yeah, and then the last 7 to 9 minutes of intermission will just be a pre-filmed type thing and a commercial like that. So yeah. Oh, and in other sports news too, Tampa Bay Rays 13-0 to start off the season. They finally lost last night against, what was it, the Blue Jays, I believe. And then Jonathan Tays played his last game in Chicago Thursday night too. So upsetting, man. Weird things happening this year. I'm telling you that right now in terms of sports. But I don't think it was any more weirder than it was this past week here in Sioux City in terms of weather-wise. I mean, Sunday, we started out the week at 77 degrees. It was sunny and nice, and, it was windy. Monday, 79, and then temp just went up from there. Tuesday, it was 86 degrees here. It felt like summer. It was warm and windy. Then we got all the way up to 91 on Wednesday. It was just hot, hot, hot. And of course, there was no wind, so you could really feel the heat. And then 89 degrees Thursday, basically same thing. Yesterday, the temperature did drop down to 75 degrees, which still, it was pretty nice and comfortable. And then guess what the high temp today is? It's only going to be about 42 degrees here with showers. So that's kind of an interesting change in weather. Yeah, 41 or like a 50-degree drop from Wednesday on. That's just crazy. And then it's going to drop, and then it's going to jump back up to about the 70s next week, and then it's going to be like 33 on like next Thursday or Friday or something like that. The weather is going to be weird. The weather was weird last week, and it's going to be weirder next week. Who knows what to expect? But that will do it for this episode here of Ronnie News. Thank you so much for joining us for the very first episode. And yeah. Coming up next, Gigantic Saturday. Stay tuned for that. Bye-bye.